So you are first in your family was awakened. It's hard. It's hard to be the first member of the family was awakened. Awakened means that you have become aware of your divinity. You have become aware of your truth. You have become aware of your presence. And you also have become aware of all mental and emotional patterns that have been running your life without you knowing about them. The patterns that were never your truth. You adopted them long time ago just to survive. Just seeing those patterns and accepting them and owning them is already hard. But it gets harder when you expect your family to understand your new way of living and thinking, and they can't understand you. They may even react negatively to your awakening. And one reason for that may be by choosing a new path in your life, you're kind of disapproving them. You're kind of disapproving the way they live, the way they think, and the way they see the world. And maybe that's why they are reacting to your awakening in a negative way. At the beginning of our awakening, we may decide to kind of persuade our family to walk the same path with us. But most of the time it doesn't happen because people come to this world with different levels of consciousness and for different process that they are going to go through. Trying to get them to understand is like being outside a glass room where people are inside and you are knocking on the glass and you are trying to get their attention and show them the way out of that glass room, but they are so drawn into what they are doing, into their thoughts or their own world, that they can't see you, they can't hear you. And if you bother them too much, they may throw something at you to get rid of you. Would that hurt you? No. But you feel kind of separate, you feel alone, you feel not understood. Now, if you want to understand your family's reaction to your awakening, it's really important to understand your family's dynamic. Each family has its particular dynamic, it has its particular emotional and mental environment. Have you ever asked yourself why you were born in this family rather than another family? There was a reason for that. To me, it seems that this family environment was set up in a way that triggers certain emotion in each person in the family to help them become aware of the unconsciousness within them and grow out of it. So it's really important to pay attention to your family's dynamic, and if you pay attention, you will see that it kind of follows certain patterns. Now, before awakening, you probably were triggered again and again when you were with your family. Let's say, just for an example, that you had a brother that was academically more successful than you. And every time that you were with your family and there was a comment about intelligence and success, that made you become triggered, and that made you feel trapped in that family dynamic and react in a negative way because you felt not enough. And you may even got into argument with your family to prove your worth again and again, and that never happened. You could never prove your worth to them until you finally awaken, and now you see things differently. Now the dynamic that you had with your family seemed unpleasant to all of them, but it also seemed familiar to them. They don't want it to change. So when you choose to awaken and when you want to go through this process of awakening, then you kind of choose not to behave the same way. And that may cause even more reaction, more negative reaction, because the unconsciousness within that family dynamic or the collective ego within that family resists change, because change to the unconscious means losing control. So you becoming conscious and choosing another path in life is kind of considered a threat to the unconsciousness within other members of the family who haven't awakened yet. And then when you awaken and you start seeing those patterns within yourself and within your family dynamic, you want to let them go. You want to live differently. You want to live a more joyful and happy life. But then they will try harder to have the same dynamic with you because that's what is normal to them. That's what they have been doing and they are used to, and they feel fear when they see that change. So that's maybe the reason that another reason that they are reacting negatively to your awakening. Now, at that stage, you may still react to their reaction in a negative way, but if that happens, don't feel like you have failed. Don't feel like that you haven't really awakened or anything like that. Don't become judgmental toward yourself and toward them. Instead, be completely compassionate toward yourself, because it's really hard. It's not easy. It's hard to be the first in family who has awakened, and it's hard to be a cycle breaker. By choosing a different path, you have become a cycle breaker in your family. What helps here is to know that relationships, and especially family relationships, were set up in a way that would help us grow out of that unconsciousness and really awaken. That's why we were born in this particular family and not in another family, because this environment was a good fit for us. We could grow through this family. That was the initial intention, for us to be born in this family. And when we become, when we awaken enough, when we go through this process and we become present enough, we learn to let go of those patterns. Then we kind of get to experience the freedom from those patterns and the joy that comes with it. And then we get to experience real, authentic connections with the people within our family or outside our family that are willing to do the same, that are willing to go through the same process and grow and dive deep into their truth. Now, throughout our awakening journey, life sends us back again and again to our families to trigger them and to be triggered by them, and have the opportunity to see those patterns and to let them go. Sometimes this opportunity comes in the form of a nudge. If we suddenly feel like, for example, I feel like I need to take care of my mother, she needs my care, so I go to them and I'm with them. And then when I'm with them, I get to see all other parts that have been hiding from my awareness, and I get to see them, to heal them, to let them go, to set myself free from them. And that's not easy. And from my personal experience, I know that that's not an easy experience, but that's what usually happens through the process of awakening. But as soon as you see yourself not being triggered as much as before, you feel joy, you feel freedom, you feel blessed. And the day will come when you find that you have no negative feeling toward your family. And no matter what has gone between you, you see their truth, you see their divinity, you see their presence, and you see their innocence, and you realize that you have forgiven them, and they have forgiven you, even if unconsciously. And if you hadn't gone through this process of awakening, you would have never experienced this joy and freedom. Now, having said all that, doesn't mean that we have to expose ourselves to unloving, unsupportive relationships. The opposite is true. Especially when we have just awakened, we are more like little sprouts. We are more vulnerable, and so we need to spend less time with others and always maintain our boundaries. And we may even need a period of solitude or aloneness, and life may put you in a period of solitude or aloneness. So it's important to know where you are in terms of your growth. And when we become a little stronger, when you become a little stronger, then you can spend more time with them and be present with them. the more we can be present with others, the more they open up to us, and the more they become vulnerable. And that's what they have been afraid of. But then they feel safe to be vulnerable in our presence because we are not being judgmental. When that happens, even if they still are not interested in our path, they at least understand you, and they may even support you. But if instead of that you get a sense of superiority or specialness because you were first in your family who has awakened, then be sure that your patterns are going to trigger their patterns, and their patterns are going to trigger your patterns, and the relationship is going to be more complicated and more painful. Even if that happens, you're still on the path of awakening, but you have just taken the harder route. One thing that is helping me in this process is seeing others, especially family members, at the age where they adopted those patterns, which is around the age of 5 or 6, and seeing that little scared child at the age of 5 or 6 who is trying so hard to control everything and to survive. And when you look at them that way, you see that innocence within them, and you become more compassionate toward them, and that's a beautiful thing that happens, and it makes the process just easier. I know it, but no matter what I say here, doesn't make the process easier, but is your freedom and the joy that comes with it worth the effort? Until next time.